What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Dynasty Depot Shipment 2. Sorry, life's been rough. We had a hurricane down here. Both of us live in the greater Orlando, Central Florida area, and had a couple of hurricanes, and we're all good, thankfully, and we're here and we're ready to roll. Um, yeah, I think the best way to do it is just jump right into it. And the NFL's been crazy lately. Offense has been kind of shy. There hasn't been a lot of offensive scoring, but there are some hidden gems still out there for us to talk about. So I'm going to start off this week with our surprises of the week, and I have Romeo Dobbs. The Packers' offense, which is kind of foreshadowing, is littered with offensive talent. And even at that, I'm going to say the NFC North is littered with offensive talent. When you're looking at high producing fantasy guys this year, the NFC North is the powerhouse when it comes to fantasy right now. But Romeo in particular with two TDs, and those were aggressive TDs. Those were his skill. Jordan Love, great pass, but it was Romeo's skill that got both of those touchdowns. And I think he's going to be a consistent guy, especially in Dynasty. He's 24 years old. I am excited to see this dude develop. And yeah, I'm sad. I just traded him away for some investment pieces. But he had me by surprise, and very as a Packer fan, very happy surprise. But he definitely had a surprise. What about you, Ryan? Did you have any surprises of the week?
Yeah, man, I'm going to start out this with, and my take's going to be a double-edged sword. Um, First, I want to offer my sympathies for Garrett Wilson managers. I am one of you, and, it's been a cool last couple weeks. He put up an aggressive 29 points out of really just having a lackluster start to the year. And it gave me a lot of hope. Followed that up last week with 24 points. And I was ecstatic, but that was very short lived. With my surprise, really the Devontae trade, there was a lot of talk about that being a potential landing spot for him. And it happened at my loss. Happy to see that offense. That's gonna be fun to watch. But yeah, my surprise was how quickly Garrett Wilson really accelerated those points, and to see him finally being utilized to the extent he could. But yeah, like I said, double edged Devontae joining the Jets, and then you got G Will popping off. So we'll see how that plays out. I hope it's good. Andrew.
You know what's like crazy about that too is you have the Devontae grade, but I think what people aren't talking about right now, I don't have it on my list to talk about it. I'm not talking about this today. Maybe you do, and if you do, just like tell me to shut up. But the Amari Cooper trade was also
Yeah.
something that I was not expecting, and I think that his fantasy perspective or his fantasy like outlook for the rest of the season, at least I wouldn't say from a dynasty perspective, he is an older receiver. And when you look at his route running and stuff, it is not what it used to be. But for this season, if you're looking for a wide receiver, Amari Cooper's an option. If some, I could imagine him being on some people's waiver right now. He wasn't producing. People need wide receivers. They're not going to hold on to a Browns receiver that isn't producing right now. So I'm sure a lot of you guys picked him up in waivers. If not, go grab him now. And I think he's the number one receiver in Buffalo, but I think that they are going to spread the ball around a lot. So I think that's an interesting thing to watch and something that I'm really not going to dive into this week, but something definitely to note.
Yeah,
So,
I didn't have that down, but definitely notable. I'm excited to see Keon Coleman's role. Me being a big fan of the rookies, excited to see how that kind of plays out for Keon Coleman. I have an idea, but we'll see. But hey, the Bills just added a target, and gave Josh Allen another great guy to get the ball to.
yeah, I mean, I'm a big Kincaid owner right now. I have a lot of shares in Kincaid, And I think that this actually helps Kincaid because they have to guard the perimeter more, so the middle should be open. So super excited about that. But I think we should jump right into it now and saying that you're the rookie guy. I think we should get right into Ryan's rookie segment and see what his take was on the rookies this week.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, always been a big Buck supporter. Living in the Tampa Bay area, it's always happy to talk about one of my boys, and I'm going to talk about Bucky Irving with an aggressive, angry, just punch it in your face kind of run against the Saints. That I don't want to compare it to Marshawn's Beastquake, but if you watch that and didn't get a little tingle from that, I think you should just stop watching the sport, man. That was everything you want to see out of a running back. Ran it aggressive. He got 18 and a half points for me last week. So that's always good to see. I will say there our backup running back, I believe his name is Sean Thomas. I believe it's Sean Thomas. If you don't follow Sean Thomas at all, he has, and I might be saying his last name wrong, but it's the Bucks third string. He has the funniest Twitter page I think I've seen, X, whatever you want to call it. Andrew, if you have,
It's
if
it's
you,
it's it's X, formerly known as Twitter.
so Andrew, are you familiar with this guy's account?
I am not familiar with this guy's account.
So
Actually,
this is
do it.
completely not fantasy related, but I just want everyone to enjoy this. So he's been doing this since college at Syracuse. Every game, win, lose, whatever, play good, play bad, he'll s- he'll be like, "I am pleased with my performance," or he'll say, "I am not pleased with my performance," and then list off his personal stats. Like what kind of dude is that, man? That's electric for me. I love it. But I mean, even if he loses, he'll be like, "I'm not pleased with the team's performance, but I had a great game, so I'm pleased with my performance." He's a football guy, man. He's a football guy. He had a really good week too, as well for the Bucks. But I will tie into that later on, into the segment. Second, I'm gonna hop in with another Bucks player, but on the opposite side of the ball. I have
Here,
Tyreek.
1 second. Before your next guy, this is about Irving. So I'm gonna give a quick shout out since we're talking about Twitter. Go follow us on Twitter at Dynasty Depot. Or sorry, go follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Dynasty Depot, and go give a shout out to our guy Kilger, who runs that page. But Kilger had a trade come up today, and we were talking about it, and I want to know your take on this. Is he sent me this? He was like, "What's your thoughts on this trade?" And I was like, "This would be something perfect for Ryan to talk about on tonight's show." It was straight up. I'm sure we have the camera on. We're not going to post the footage, but it's just a straight up trade. It is Kilger sends Bucky Irving, and he gets Brian Thomas, the Jacksonville out of or the Jags out of Jacksonville. What's your thoughts on this trade?
In a dynasty league. Okay, so here's how I see this playing out. I think again the third string back for the Buccaneers. I think he had a really good week. And I see potentially, down the line, Rashad White comes back. I see the Buccaneers running back room turning into a three-headed monster. Which, if you're a Bucky Irving guy, which I am, I have him on my team. He's taken my team, or he's been a part of getting my team out of the hell that is 0-3. Um, but long term for this season, I would be weary about that trade if you're the one receiving Irving. I think Brian Thomas definitely put up more points and get you more production throughout the year. Down the line, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how the Bucks are looking at the running back room. I believe we just extended Rashad White. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Take that with a grain of salt. But I don't know. I think for Kilger sending Bucky White, I think that's a great trade for him. Um, but I
That's
don't I
interesting.
don't
I told him not to do it. I told him I don't like the trade. I like Bucky
why
Irving way too much.
why.
I don't think Tampa just historically does not run a definitely a three-headed beast in the back. I understand what you're saying. You got to give the best guy the ball when he's hot, right? So if you're having three, you have a better chance of having someone be hot. But like, I think that Bucky Irving takes his starting position by the end of the year, and even if it is split shares, I'm saying like a 50-25-25 split. I think this is Bucky Irving's backfield in the future.
And to which I would agree. Long term wise, that's why I was like, I feel like long term, it could make sense. Right now, I don't think it does. And I'm gonna call myself out here. The running back's name is Sean Tucker. So Lo Ciento, for screwing that up. But no, let me just read this guy's stat line real quick. Against the Saints, 14 attempts, 136 yards, one TD, three receptions. I think that that's a good
Yeah,
enough stat line to earn more carries down the line. And whether or not it turns into a three-headed monster or not, however long they keep all three of those backs in Tampa, I think you're gonna see more of a split, um, or more of a share out of that backfield for Sean Tucker.
yeah. I guess also when you look at like, especially when you're looking at rookie running backs and receivers, right? I feel like once a rookie running back proves himself, he's going to be there to stay. And I feel like wide receivers, you have to do a lot more to prove yourself to stay relevant. And I
Hmm.
feel like although Thomas is putting up impressive numbers, he has impressive numbers against the Colts with what is this? One receiving touchdown and 122 yards. The Texans, sorry, one touchdown and 86 yards. And then he had a touchdown in the opening game. So he has three touchdowns in the year. A couple of impressive stat lines, but as soon as you get to like elite defenses, if we look at like Chicago last week, like this current week, he had three receptions for 27 yards. And especially when you're looking at this year, next week he has New England. He should be good with that game. But then you're playing Green Bay, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Detroit, bye week, Texans again, Titans, Jets, Vegas. And then that's going to be your Super Bowl. So I guess if you pick him up for the later in the season, he's up against defenses that he can thrive in. But if you're in a position right now where you're trying to win, he has a daunting defensive lineup there. You're going through the NFC North, foreshadowing later. Uh, the NFC North's defense is not anything to mess around with right now.
No,
So I mean, when you're looking at that, and of course we're looking at dynasty perspective here on Dynasty Depot, and we're looking at long-term outlook. Uh, Having a rookie season where you don't have consistent play and stuff does not guarantee you anything in this league, no matter what your matchups are. So it's definitely something to think about, and I think Bucky Irving's going to earn the spot, whereas like Thomas really needs to work for it.
and I'm gonna segue. I was gonna speak about my defensive player on the rookie side, but funny enough, you bring up Brian Thomas. He was the second guy I had on offense to talk about this
That's
rookie.
actually that's a pretty good segue. I
Yeah, it
like that. That's
was.
that's pretty good actually.
This was not
Sorry, I
planned.
just read off his stats for you, but I mean, go for it, man.
No, but, I'll take that. But no, it's in my notes. I put down season goes as T Law goes, and of course that's always true for quarter or for receivers. Um, but the thing with Thomas is Brian Thomas. He's a good receiver. He's a good rookie receiver, and I think he's going to have a good career long term. But to Andrew's point, if you're looking at the perspective of now, what's going like I'm trying to win, and maybe you're below 500 at 500, just wherever you're at in your season, and you're looking at Brian Thomas as a guy who's going to help you win now. I just don't see that being a case. But I do like Brian Thomas long term. Pre what did I have for his stats? Um, can't read my own handwriting. No wonder it took me 5 years to get through college. Um,
Hey, everyone takes their own time, man.
everyone has
There's
a
nothing
victory
wrong with
lap.
5 years in college. It took me
Excuse me.
17.
I gotta pull this up right now, Brian, because he had, I believe, it was.
Editor, cue Jeopardy music right now.
All right. So last week was
Thank you,
rough.
editor.
Uh,
Yeah.
the last 2 weeks were rough if you own Brian Thomas stock. But if you look at week 5 and week 4, you put up two back-to-back 20-point games. And I do think that is showing how the Jags want to use him. But the Jags have offensive issues. And that is the knock on Thomas. Not on him, but the offense. So take that as you will.
I would go
Um,
further and say the Jags have issues.
hey
I don't think it's just their offense, man.
man, I'm from 904. You gotta.
It's started with whoever decided to give T-Law that contract, and that's where the issue stems from.
I think T Law is a good core. I think I, I think he's like a better Baker Mayfield. And let me expand on that, right? So I think
Yeah, you're gonna need to.
he's in a better position than I don't think I think I love Baker Mayfield. That's my guy. But I think T Law's in a position that it's just Jacksonville. Jacksonville loves him. He loves Jacksonville. I don't think that's his position. I don't think that's his spot. I don't think that is a place for him to be successful. And whether it be coaching changes, whether it be lackluster offenses, whether it be however you want to call it, right? I think T Law in a different system, if you put him and hot take, Justin Herbert, and put them in the same offense. If you put T Law on the Chargers offense, I think T Law outperforms Herbert fantasy and actual play. But
Wow, we usually save hot takes for the end, but I guess here we are. So
yeah. No man, I feel bad, dude. I love T Law. I love the energy he brought to my hometown. Even though I'm not a Jaguars fan, when they made that playoff push, that was exciting to watch. Um, no, I think he's a good quarterback. I just think he's not in a system that's for him. And I think it's
you know,
it's like a Browns Baker situation where yeah, he's a good quarterback, but he's not in a place where that he feels like he should be. He's not in the right system for him, and that's what
I
we're seeing.
understand the comparison to the Baker. I'll let you know. So when I watched Baker on the Browns, I always said that that kid is special, even though that his stats never did it. Just watching him,
You're not
and
looking at T Law thinking that kid's special?
I'm not looking at T Law thinking that kid's special. That might change. In a week and a half, I am going to be at the Packer Jags game, and I will see Trevor in person. And I can tell you if I think he's special or not. Like Jordan Love, I've watched him in person before he was a starter, and I saw it. I saw it with Justin Herbert. I saw it with Baker Mayfield. Like I don't see it in T Law when I see him play. And you're right, it could be the system, but I don't. When he sits back there, he goes through his progressions very average. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I just don't think that he's a special playmaker. Like I can expect Baker Mayfield to make a play. I can expect Jordan Love to make a play. I can expect Justin Herbert to make a play. When I say make a play, I mean when the play breaks down and you have the ball in your hand, what are you going to do with it? I see Trevor Lawrence throwing that ball away more often than not. Those other players will make a play happen. And I don't see T Law doing that.
There's no way you just called T Law a game manager.
That's exactly what I just did. I did
um,
just call T-Law a game manager, man. I just
oh
don't see
man.
it.
T-Law, the glorified game manager. All right, but we'll see. We'll shake back to that as the
Yeah,
season
give
goes
me
on.
give me a couple of weeks. When I see him in person, maybe it changes my mind. But right now,
Hey,
man, I just don't
We're
see it. I don't see the it factor in him.
we're letting that take cook.
Yeah, let's simmer. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Throw it back in the smoker.
Um,
We'll get back to it later and let it simmer. It tastes better. So let's get on to the next one, though. What's your defensive rookie of the week?
all right, man. I'm gonna bring it right back to Tampa. Hurricane Helene and Milton came twice, and I'm gonna do the same thing, going back to back with Tampa. Hitting it with
Big Tampa
Tyrese.
Band fan, eh?
I mean, go Bucks, fire the cannons. Tyrese Smith. Um, grew up a Gator fan. He was committed. No, that was Tyree. Maybe a different one. Anyway, I'm gonna pivot from that take because I might be wrong. Tyreek Smith, he had one interception and one fumble on the game. I think he's gonna buy definitely a good role in that defense moving forward. We, I like the way he plays. Kid has a nose for the ball, and I think defensively that's something you always want to look for fantasy, especially in a corner. Um, and I just see him building a role um, in that Buccaneers secondary moving forward. Like the way he plays, physical corner, lengthy. Excited to see his future.
Sweet. I think that is a perfect segue into our defensive segment. And here at Dynasty Depot, we care about defense. We do fantasy football top to bottom. And here's the defense. And what do I say week in, week out? I love your defensive linemen. I love sacks. And I love safeties. So that's kind of cool. Did you see that?
No, I did not. Oh,
Just a little thumbs up emoji. Sorry, I'm using Riverside uh,
it's
our
not
podcasting.
good.
We do have our cameras on, so you guys aren't going to see this. We're only going to upload audio right now. But I gave a thumbs up um, to a take that I had, and it like gave me a thumbs up emoji on like the screen. So that's what we had an epiphany about. Anyways, going back. So I love defensive linemen, and I love slot corners and safeties. Right. So I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of both of them. So this dude is 23 years old, and guess what he had against no other than the New England Patriots, which offensive line absolutely sucks, is Will Anderson. 3 sacks, 8 total tackles, 35 points. In our fantasy league, very, but 3 sacks, 3 hits on a QB, 22 sack yards, and then 6 solo tackles. This dude is a monster. He's been showing it week in, week out. I think that he will be a potential future defensive player of the year one year. I don't think it's this year. I think that the defenses are stacked across the board. But let this kid develop. This dude is 23 years old and getting 3 sacks in the NFL. I don't care what the offensive line is. That is freaking impressive. Um, but yeah, he thrives against bad O lines and does decent against good O lines. Um, but yeah, man, he's gonna be a lot of exciting to watch, and I'm excited for his future. And then I'm gonna segue right into my favorite. He is my number one DB in the league when it comes to fantasy production. Brian Branch. I love this dude. I loved him out of Alabama, and I thought he was great. I was not able to draft him, and I sold the farm to get him from the dude that did draft him, uh, because I think that he is an absolute monster, and his points show it. He is a tackling machine, but I have never seen someone get into Dak Prescott's head so much like I've seen Brian Branch do at the 425 America's Game of the Week like Brian Branch has. He had 2 interceptions, one of which was in the end zone in the beginning of the game. After that, Dak never was the same. Dak was never a good quarterback to start with. Let's be very clear about this. But later in the game, almost gets a pick six off of him. He falls 3 yards short, 3 yards short of a pick six. Not only that, he forced a fumble. This dude is a havoc. He scored in our league 29.7 points. But that's a normal point, or not normal. He normally scores about 15 points, which is exactly what I want. I like consistency. I like consistency with high ceilings, a high boom potential. When you have a high boom potential and a high floor, that is a great person to have on your team. And Brian Branch is that guy. But yeah, the Cowboys sucked this year, but Brian Branch was damn impressive during this whole sequence of events that happened on Sunday. I don't know if you have anything to say about any of those, uh, Ryan, or we can move on to the next one. But they were
No,
very surprising this week, and I enjoyed watching both of them.
I do not. Didn't get to watch those games, so I can't really comment on the play. But no, that stat line seems tough. I like Will Anderson. I will talk about this. I like Will Anderson. I like the way he plays. I'll save that take for later. We can move forward.
All
I
right, we'll save that for the Oh So Serious, I'm assuming. So, going into that, it is probably one of my favorite segments right behind Oh So Serious is the trade for targets of the week. We're already about a half hour into this, and this might be a longer episode, which I am perfectly fine with. But everyone, just like go grab some snacks. If you're watching your car, maybe turn the AC down a little bit. I know it's been getting hot some places, or up. It's been getting cold too, I guess. And just wherever you're watching from. And just buckle up because my trade targets of the week is Jonathan Cooper and Bradley Chubb. It's going to be an interesting take. But that's foreshadowing. I want Ryan to go first. Ryan, who is your trade for target of the week?
Yeah, man. I'll go with aggressive one, Devin Achane.
Okay.
The managers who possess Achane. It's been rough watching Tua to go out. That offense, I have Waddle, has been very sad to watch lately, and the Dolphins are just flapping on the shore. With that being said, Tua can come back after week 7. So I think now is a good time to make an aggressive offer, go after him, and get that back. We all know he's special. We all know what he can do. The Dolphins are just it's a sad offense. So as long as Tua didn't lose too many IQ points from that last
He didn't
concussion,
have much to start with.
hey man, it's
Tu's another one of those players that I is a system QB in my head. So
I can agree with that on Tua. I'm not high on Tua, but he does open up that Dolphins offense. Without him, I mean, we're watching it right now.
like what are you willing to give up for Achan?
No, that's a good question. Looking at picks, dude, I'd give a second and probably an RB. If
Second
you
and a lower RB.
definitely a RB2 or maybe even a running back who's bench maybe, but like an up like one with a lot of upside. You know what I'm saying? Like definitely a running back you could put in the flex. Um, I'm wide receiver waterlogged with my team, so I mean I'd definitely trade a receiver there, but I mean definitely a second round pick, and then just sweeten it up a little bit with a running back that they can actually use. That'll get potentially more points right now because I just think the managers right now of A Chain are just tired of no production, and then I believe last week they had a bye. So if you can get an emotional manager right now, or even if you can make that pitch, I think you can get A Chain and no Tua comes back. I think they're gonna run the ball a lot because he's dinged up in the head. try to keep your quarterback safe. I think he's going to see a lot of touches. I think that'd be a great grab. And pivoting from that, I believe you say Ty Chandler?
I did not say Chad Chandler. I said,
Let's go, dude.
yeah, go for it. I want to hear Ty Chandler.
Huge. All right, man. So Aaron Jones goes down. Ty Chandler comes in, right? I think you can get him if you can, but he has last year 56% of the rushing attempts near the end of the season went to Ty Chandler, I believe when he did fill in, and I think he does have the opportunity to see the same kind of volume moving forward, depending on how long Aaron Jones is out. And especially now, since he will be the back RB1 in Minnesota right now, I definitely
In
can
Minnesota.
Minnesota. I can definitely see him bringing a lot of value to your team right now. So I would say Ty Chandler.
Even with this Cam Akers trade, they just traded for Cam Akers.
I don't think, bro. I have takes about Cam Akers. Takes about Cam Akers. Oh my
Something that doesn't
god.
know, Cam Akers does not bother you one bit about being on that
Not,
team, about
Cam
splitting it
Akers
up with
doesn't
Ty.
scare me. Can't look. It's no. Cam Akers does not scare me. He's gonna be out of the league in 2 3 years. No, he's not gonna be. No. No. That's not no.
There you
Maybe
go.
not
Cam
out of
Akers
the
is just
league.
a depth piece for Minnesota.
I, I think Ty Chandler is going to be the better performing back and definitely produce more this year, next year, moving forward. Yeah, man. Maybe Cam Akers isn't out of the league, but I just see him falling into the depths of irrelevancy as his career moves on. Like, I do not like anything about Cam Akers. This is not
All
me
right,
hating
enough of
him.
the Cam Akers slander. Let's move on to my trade targets of the week. And I already said them. We're going to talk about Jonathan Cooper and Bradley Chubb for the same reasons, but they have completely, or same like overall reasoning. And the way we get there is completely different. Um, and I'll actually tell you what I experienced for this is we all know that I am a huge defensive lineman guy. I love my defensive linemen, edge rushers. If you can get to the quarterback, I am going to try to get you on my team. And so it's actually my trade away player of the week, which we'll get to later. I put him up, and I was just trying to feel around and stuff. And I was straight up looking for a high second round equivalent of a pick, high second, low first value. And I wanted a defensive lineman. And Jonathan Cooper and Bradley Chubb are someone that I both value for about that price, but they will be game wreckers for you. I'm going to start with Jonathan Cooper. Jonathan Cooper is 26. He has 2 years in the league, so he was a late bloomer when it comes to the NFL. That's not as young as you would like to see an NFL defensive lineman, especially as their second year. However, he is an up and coming rising star. He is averaging just under a sack a game in his second season on a dysfunctional Denver team. When I watch this Denver team, I just watch chaos. Like, they win games. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but I have never seen a team more dysfunctional, functional. Like, this team, when you watch it, I do not understand football when I watch the Denver Broncos this year. They make stuff up, and I love it. This does not make any sense at all, but Jonathan Cooper has been benefiting from every second of it, and he is someone that I'm going after as someone that can develop for years to come under maybe a more functional defensive scheme. However, he's just going to become a monster. And they have a tendency there going into the next guy, Bradley Chubb. Denver has a great time developing defensive linemen. You have Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, now Jonathan Cooper. I think he's next. And I actually, my tradeaway player ended up getting Jonathan Cooper with a slew of other things, which I guess we could talk about when I talk about the tradeaway player, about some trade tactics that we can talk about. Shout out my league mates that are going to watch this, and I'm going to call them out for it. But hey, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. The Bradley Chubb is an interesting one because he is a Pro Bowler multiple times. 28 years old, coming off an ACL tear. He is currently day to day, and he should be playing within the month. or like, okay, we're October 16th of recording this. Within the month, meaning like within 30 days, 4 weeks, he should be playing. And it's going to be very interesting to see how he comes back. Some people come back great from the ACL tear, and some people don't. And Von Miller kind of fell off, but I'm going to blame that more the age than ACL than anything else. But Bradley Chubb is a monster on a rotating defensive line that I think can be an absolute game wrecker when it comes to your fantasy team in and out. Game wrecker in a good way. Game wrecker for your opponents to fear on football Sundays. Of how many sacks is this guy going to get? Is it going to be a 1 sack day? Is it going to be a 2 sack day? Is he going to pull a Khalil Mack, a vintage Khalil Mack, and score 62 points on you today? I don't know. This dude can do it all. Definitely cautious trading for him, but I like the upside. Yeah, Ryan, if you don't have anything else to say about that, we will go away for the trade away players, but feel free to interject.
Yeah, I'll chime in real quick. I love Bradley Chubb. Comes from a good. I believe he's cousins with Nick Chubb, and I don't think that's smoke. I believe that. Like, I'm pretty sure I saw an ESPN segment on that a while back when he was at NC State. But no, he's a gamer. I love the way he plays defense. I love the way he plays end. I think that's definitely a great option that you brought up.
So you would trade for Bradley Chubb
Um,
if the value's right. That's always the thing. So I'm going to segue right into the trade away player of the week because I can kind of put together this whole story now. And just so the viewers at home, uh, when I talk about my league, I'm talking about a 20-man dynasty league where trading gets very tight and there's a lot of things to go over. However, my trade away player of the week is Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco has been sitting in my IR forever and this actually started with me trying to trade him away because running backs are tight, especially in a 20-man. And he's going to be coming back right around fantasy football playoffs time. And I've been doing fine. I'm going to regret saying this now, especially live. I've been doing fine with my other running backs that I don't need Pacheco. So I was just going to see what the market was for him. And people are very high on Pacheco right now, and I was not expecting that. I am very scared of Pacheco. I think Pacheco, a broken leg for a running back, I think it's a fibula. A broken fibula for a running back that runs as hard as Isaiah Pacheco does scares me. The way that he plays this football game is all about his leg strength. It's not his field of vision. It's not being swifty with it. It's
he's
running hard. And I am scared of his comeback. He's not going to be the same. I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but he's not going to be the same Pacheco. And he's giving these other people opportunities with the ball. They're starting to use people in the backfield. You're starting to get Rice, which his knee, rest in peace. But they're starting to get people in the backfield running it. And that scares me with Isaiah Pacheco. So people are very high on him right now. If you are holding onto him in an IR, see what you can do. If you can trade him away, like I did, I got into a bidding war. And when we talk about trades in general, always shop around. Don't just go for the first person. I know some people that wanted Isaiah Pacheco, and I was looking at Jonathan Cooper, but I was like, you know what? I have good relationships with this person in this league, trade relationships. It's like, let me reach out to him because he's expressed interest in Isaiah Pacheco in the past. And I let them go at it. They kept countering each other, and eventually it turned into me accepting an offer for Jonathan Cooper, a second round pick, and Jair Alexander, straight up for Isaiah Pacheco. Actually, no, I added a fifth. It's Isaiah Pacheco and a fifth for Jonathan Cooper, a second, and Jair Alexander, which I'm not a big fan of Jair when it comes to fantasy, but definitely some depth on DB that I need. So, yeah, that is my trade away player of the week. and some tips on how to maybe get a little bit more out of your trade.
Nice, man. No, for everyone listening, Voj is dirty with trades. He's kind of a god when it comes to trades. He loves just testing the market. I've completed a trade with him in the past, and he makes Dynasty fun. So it's a good little thing to add right in there with your Pacheco thing. That was cool. For me, I guess I'm gonna tie mine in as well. I came in here a little somber. I guess you could say I was mourning. Maybe I'm being too emotional about Garrett Wilson. Um, but I'm gonna follow it up.
Not
I
G
think
Willie, man.
I think G will number 5 for the Jets. And the fucking loose. Didn't know if I cursed. My bad. And the loose fitting jerseys. I think this is a guy you want to trade. The reason being is you've probably got Garrett Wilson, depending on how long your league's been around, within the first 2 rounds, right? You expect upward 10s to 20-point games out of him. Of course, you're going to have a bad one every now and then. That happens to everyone, but that is going to be your guy. That is your wide receiver. And, with the addition of Devontae, I don't see that playing out the way that everyone kind of drafted him with the expectations. He has 3 years left on his contract for the Jets. Don't know how long Devontae is going to be there. Don't know how much longer A-Rod's going to be there. Which, of course, definitely factor that into your decision. But, he has 3 years left. He's going to be in a very high-powered offense, which I think, if anything, this offense just takes away touches from him. Am I going to say that he's not going to score you points? No. But is he going to maintain the value that you anticipated him at when drafting? Also, no. No. And, coming off 2 really good games, I think there is definitely value to be had with a trade prospect right now. So I would shop around, maybe look for filling a hole if you need it. If not, try to get some picks. Try to get some picks. If you got a pick and a flex, a solid pick, like a second or first, and a flex, like a low flex, I think you'd be more than happy with that.
Sorry, I am laughing. I was looking up some ages, and I was looking up Devonte Adams' age, and I do all my fantasy research through the very trusty source of Sleeper, and they have it's Discord for fantasy football. I'm sure all the viewers use Sleeper. Um, if you don't, you're a bum, and you should use Sleeper. But the performance, it's the first like comment under Devonte Adams is got offered ETN for Adams. Should I pull the trigger? And it made me chuckle. But
Oh man.
anyways, to kind of go my own take, I actually am gonna argue against you here. I think that Garrett Wilson is a great wide receiver to target right now. The reason I say that Devonte Adams is 31, Aaron Rodgers is 40, Alan Lazard, I don't care about his age. He's going to be irrelevant after Rodgers leaves the league. Garrett Wilson is 24 in his 3rd season. You are talking about Garrett Wilson being able to learn from Aaron Rodgers and Devonte Adams. And this does bring hope. You have to hope that they get a good system in afterwards. It is the Jets, and they tend to mess stuff up. But he is a great person to buy right now with people trying to panic about this Devonte Adams trade. So if you are going to sell him, be weary to make sure to get your value from him, especially in a dynasty perspective. This dude could be a beast in 2 years when all those guys that are covering him up and taking his touches retire. And then he takes all the knowledge that they have. So if you're able to afford stashing him, he might be usable in a flex position. But if you afford to stash him, I think he is going to be an insane wide receiver in a couple of years. That being said, get your value now if you need a win now. He's not your win now guy.
I'm gonna piggyback off that real quick. And I think you do have a good point there for keeping him. But Aaron Rodgers, they're gonna keep him until, or he's still on contract until the end of the 25 season. So I mean, with him there, Devontae Adams is gonna be there. He's on a 2-year deal, with the Jets. They're gonna have 2 seasons out of him. You're gonna stash him for what, year and a half,
Yeah.
2 years, maybe. Like do you want to stash Garrett Wilson for that long to see mediocre, from what we expect out of him, production? And I think, it's still fresh in people's minds, and there's still a lot of uncertainty. I think there's definitely it's volatile. It's a volatile market right now for Garrett Wilson, but I still think you can get some good picks out of there that can help you find another beast. Next year's draft, the draft after that, wherever you're at in your dynasty, I still think you can get a lot of value from what people associate out of Garrett Wilson right now, because that value will drop by the end of the season, next season, at minimum. I'm not gonna
All
say
right.
it's gonna go. What's up?
I gotta play devil's advocate.
You gotta
You
do what?
drafted. I gotta play devil's advocate here. You drafted Garrett Wilson 3 years ago in a rookie draft, and if you are still holding on to him today, holding on to him for another year and a half does nothing. You have gone day in, day out of this receiver that is so talented, scoring 5 receiving points, losing you games. Don't quit on him yet. I know the situation might not be great. We all celebrated these 20-point games, but don't quit on him yet. And I'm not saying don't trade him away, but make sure you get real value for him and you don't trade him as a panic trade.
So, no, I think we're gonna agree to disagree here. Um, I don't. I think we agree to disagree on that take.
Cool. I like it. So, my trade away is Isaiah Pacheco and G Willie, and Ryan's trade away, or sorry, my trade away player is Isaiah Pacheco, and one of my trade for targets is now G Willie, and one of Ryan's trade away targets is G Willie. I like
Hmm.
it. I'm here for it. This is why podcasts exist. We need differing opinions. So, was that your only trade away target?
Yeah, dude, no, that was, to kind of backpedal on what I say. It was kind of like an emotional decision because I'm just so bummed about that. But at the same time, I still feel like there's enough justification behind that, and there's still enough to get out of it right now. But yeah, that was my only trade away.
Awesome. Now is my favorite time of the podcast. I'm going to try to do my favorite Kilger impression here, as he's not with us in our podcast anymore. But, oh, so serious take of the podcast. And you know what? I will start it. I usually end it, but I will start it this week. My oh so serious take is the NFC North will win you your championship. The Lombardi will be held by an NFC North team this year. And it is not only because their defense is all four rank at the top four in takeaways, all four rank in total defense. It is not because their offenses have all of a sudden gotten on fire. It is not because Jared Goff is having near perfect games. It's not because Jordan Love's throwing 4+ touchdowns. It's not because Caleb Williams is throwing over 300 yards a game. It is not because Sam Darnold has the most elite wide receiver core in the league. They're just amazing. You got fantasy value everywhere. The only place I'm going to say to keep away from is the Bears running back room. Other than that, they are producing fantasy points. And the only reason I say stay away from them is because their O-line sucks. But Caleb Williams has been making it happen, which is a very hot take for me to say. And when it comes to a fantasy value, I'm really excited to watch the Bears play some NFC North teams. But as of right now, man, there's no reason not to shy away from the NFC North, eh? That is my oh so serious take of the week, which is a lot coming from me. So, Ryan, go ahead, see what you're, unless you have something to say.
No, man,
You're
no.
looking like you got something to say about that.
I believe it was on the first pod. I was very high on Caleb Williams. I was definitely drinking the Kool-Aid there. Um, I was kind of eating crow at the at the start of the year with that, but it's cool to see him perform. Hopefully he can continue. Yeah, that's about it for me.
Nice. So, Ryan, what is your oh so serious take of the week?
I don't even think this is a hot take, but I'm gonna hit you with it. Aaron Rodgers, top three quarterback down the stretch. He's gonna light up the field. He's in a super high powered offense. He's gonna be insane for the rest of the year. He's a smart quarterback. He got Robert Saleh out of there, which is hilarious. He was walking on the
Rogers is the
street.
coach killer. I don't know what to tell you.
Rodgers is a coach killer, but hey man, I just see the Jets offense being what we thought we were going to get out of the Miami offense at the start of the year. And I think there's just a lot of production that is going to increase through their running back. You're going to have two Green Bay guys that Roger used to throw to in New York right now. You have Brees Hall, Braylon Allen. I just really like what's going on there. And I think Aaron Rodgers has a bunch of toys in an offense. I mean, when was the last time you've seen this high caliber, or these, like, a collection of high caliber players like this around Rodgers?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, it was the 2021 Packers because 11 of them are on the Jets. So the New York Packers are
I'm talking about the offensive weapon.
definitely definitely on there. And it's actually funny you say that. I don't disagree with the take at all. I think Aaron Rodgers would be great down the stretch. Top three might be debatable, but he's going to be a top 10 for sure. I think top five is a little less debatable. Top three is debatable.
I, my bad. I'm sorry for
What?
interrupting. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
I'm just really firm on that stance.
but like, but it is funny watching the New York Packers and how on X, formerly known as Twitter, uh, New York Packers posted something on social media. When I say New York Packers, it was the New York Jets official Twitter, and it was highlights of Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, and it was just a Packer highlight reel. It was fun to watch as a Packer fan. I was just watching a Packer highlight reel on the New York Packers Twitter, and it was great, and I absolutely loved it. And yeah, you know what? I'm happy for them. The only thing that sucks for them is they don't have the mastermind that is Matt LaFleur, and what MLF does cannot be replicated and will never be replicated. And Natty Hackett wasn't it, and these New York Packers could be frauds all they want, but for fantasy, yes, they're going to produce. Are they going to win games? I'm not sure about that, but they're going to produce. So
Agreed. Agreed.
I'll take that. Was that your all your oh so serious?
I mean, I could rip into Cam Akers if you want me to.
I think you've already done that enough. I think we can have a separate podcast about that. I'll give you a
Dude,
90-minute segment there. It'll be
dude,
a
I
little
could go
special right
on
there. Just you ripping into Cam.
go on an hour long rant about
I'll give
Cam.
you access to the NFL replay system. You can have the 22 film up too, and just talk.
The
Just
22
go
film.
into it for Cam Akers, man.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, no, yeah, he's gonna be irrelevant in 2 years. That's
Well,
the short
all right,
version.
guys. All right, guys. Well, with that, we are going to end our shipment 2 of season 2. I was your host, Andrew Vogel. I don't know if I said this in the beginning. This is your co-host, Ryan. He got mad when I used his last name last time, so I'm just gonna Ryan. And yeah, guys, thank you guys for having us part of your daily commute. If you're sitting down, having a drink, eating lunch, or whatever it is, thank you for having us part of your day, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Later.